Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for this week's Thursday with AARP Wisconsin. I am Amber Miller, your host, and also the Associate State Director of Community Outreach for AARP Wisconsin. We also have a special producer, Courtney. So I want to thank you so much, Courtney, for being our producer today. So before we get to our guest, of course, please remember to visit the AARP Wisconsin website. There's so much information on there, not just about upcoming virtual events, but you can find information about advocacy, lowering drug costs, the booster shot vaccine. So all that information can be found at aarp.org/WI. Also, please remember the Community Connections website. So below or the phone number, you can go there for a couple different reasons. One would be to find local volunteer opportunities in your area that you can join or can start yourself. And also the Friendly Voice Initiative. The Friendly Voice Initiative, once again, launched last year. It is free. You do not need to be an AARP member, and it's open to all ages. And what it is you can put a request in for yourself or for your loved one to receive a phone call from one of our trained AARP volunteers just to hear a friendly voice on the other end. Once again, it's free. You could put a request in for a daily, weekly, monthly call, but sometimes it's just nice to hear a friendly voice on the other end. And then also, even though we are in a virtual world, we're always looking for great AARP Wisconsin volunteers. If you are interested in learning more about the volunteer opportunities throughout the state of Wisconsin, you could get additional information at www.aarp.org/ and then I want the number 2 volunteer. So I want to volunteer. You can also find information about volunteering with us at the AARP Wisconsin website that I talked about earlier. So if you're interested more in advocacy, fraud, outreach, presentations, we might have a place for you on our team. So once again, please check out the website below. So as you may or may not know, September 20th to the 24th is Falls Prevention Week, and according to the CDC, 1 in 4 people age 65 and older have a fall each year in the US. So we have 2 important people here with us today. We have Dave Nelson with the Wisconsin Institute on Healthy Aging, also known as WIHA, W-I-H-A, and also Ashley Hillman with Safe Communities, both on today's show to talk more about the importance of this week and also maybe some ways that people can start being more mindful, especially when it comes to fall. So thank you so much, Dave and Ashley, for being here today.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you. And I do have to also say, falls happen at any age, but definitely the 65 and older population is kind of what probably we're focusing on now. But there's a lot of information that you're going to talk about that might be for any age, and especially if you're a caregiver. So I'll start with, if you could tell us a little bit more about Falls Prevention Week and the importance of it. And I'll start with Ashley.
Thanks, Amber. So I think having a dedicated time of the year to really talk about falls and to bring that to the forefront is important, because we don't talk about falls. Mm-hmm. It's something that just in our culture, we don't want to talk about. I think older adults don't want to talk about it because they fear losing independence as a result. And it shouldn't be that way. So I think having a designated time each year that we can shed light on the issue and on the severity of the issue is just really important, because then someone might be compelled to proactively do something that could prevent a fall in the future.
Absolutely. And Dave, what are your thoughts about the importance of this week from the stance of WIHA?
Well, I think Ashley's absolutely right. For a lot of us, falls are very personal. I don't know about either of you, but my grandmother tripped and fell. 6 months later, we lost her. She was doing pretty well before then. And when I talk to people, I hear that same story so many times, but we think of it as something that just happened, something that might be inevitable, something that happened to my grandmother, but we don't understand the scope of it, and that it really is a crisis out there. We don't understand that. So if we could have this week to really talk about, but there are things you can do to keep it from happening, right? And so hopefully today we can talk about this falls as not just something that you have to worry about and be quiet about, but something that's not normal, not to be expected, although it happens quite a bit, and you can take control of it. So if we can get that message out a little louder in September, let's do that. But let's get loud the whole year long if we can.
Absolutely. And Ashley, so what are the factors that put people at risk for falling?
That's a great question. So like Dave said, falls are not inevitable. You can take control and do something to prevent them. So knowing the predictive factors of what may cause a fall is super important to talk about. So the four kind of bucket areas, one is vision. So as we age, our vision changes, and it's really important to get that checked each year to make sure that our vision is as good as it could be. Medication management is another huge topic area, because usually as we age, we might be taking more medications, which include supplements or over-the-counter meds. And if they interact in a negative way, that could make a person dizzy or faint, which could then lead to a fall. So consulting, your physician or pharmacist to take a look at medications is very important to make sure they're not interacting negatively. Home safety is a huge topic that we talk about often, looking at the rugs in the home, looking at lighting, night lights, their clutter, bathroom safety. This could be, a show in itself, just the home safety factor. And there are lots of great resources out there to have home safety assessments done in your home. And then, be able to make some modifications that can really help you stay safe. The last kind of bucket area that we talk about often is strength and balance. So sometimes, if people are afraid of falling, they may not be as active, and a more sedentary lifestyle weakens muscles, which then could lead to a fall. So it's really important that as we age, we, continue strength and balance exercises to keep those muscles, even muscles that help us get up out of a chair, really primed and doing what they should do to keep us safe.
And Dave, do you have anything to add regarding the factors that are putting people at risk to fall?
Well, once again, my friend Ashley says it exactly right. But what you can do is think about this comprehensive, we use the term, it's not a great word, but multifactorial. There are all these different things that go into a fall. And what we'd like people to do is think about all of them. Think about, am I having problems with my vision? Am I having problems with mobility? Am I having problems, or are the medications making me dizzy? Do I need to talk to my doctor? Do I have rugs that I'm stepping on? Am I walking? Have I learned to walk heel to toe so I don't fall down, right? There's all these tricks. So I would say, don't just think about one of those things. We're going to talk today about ways and programs that are out there that can help you look at all of these different risks and what you can do individually for all of them. I would say the other piece is you can never start too early or too late. I've been clumsy my whole life. I have fallen down more than anybody I know, not just in athletics, but like curves and just the basics. I fall down. Well, I know that. So my risks in my 50s are getting worse and worse as we go on. Similarly, you may feel like, oh my gosh, it's too late. All I can do is sit here and not be mobile, just stay at home. Well, heck, that's the worst thing you could do. You want to get around, and most falls happen in the home. So think about all of those risks and know that you cannot start too early and you cannot start too late. Wherever you are on that, there's something you can do to reduce your chances of falling.
Absolutely. And I do appreciate both of you were talking about, things that you can do in the home. So I do want to just plug AARP's Home Fit, which is a workshop that we did do in person before COVID. We now do it online, and it gives you just very useful tips and resources and information and low cost or free ways that you can modify your home. And one of them being rugs. How many people trip and fall? I one time slipped and fell on a piece of paper in my apartment, which was very strange. And I know Courtney's laughing, our producer, right now, because I can see her, but I don't even have rugs and you still trip and fall. And it's all about just being mindful. So I'm really excited about the show today. Ashley, I'm going to start with you then. So how can an individual know if they are at high risk for a fall?
That's a great question. And I will just add, you said a slip of paper,
Yeah.
but also pets.
Yes.
That's
Pets
something
are a
we're
big
hearing
one.
about. Yeah, I have tripped over my own dog
Yeah.
and, caught myself, thankfully.
Mhm.
But I think that's another
Huge.
Well, how about the dog dish, Ashley? I've gone face first
yes.
over the dish in the kitchen. Um, Absolutely.
Yeah, and actually, just sorry to keep going on this thread, but when my parents or in-laws come to visit, we have small kids, and I'm always furiously gathering up all of the toys that are all over the
Mhm.
place because I worry about that. Like I
Yeah.
would not want them. I trip over them, and I try to keep them up, but I definitely wouldn't
Mhm.
want them to trip over them. But so to answer your question, Amber, about who to talk to, I think sometimes people are afraid to admit that they've fallen. And it's important that people feel comfortable talking with their physician, with their family, if they are afraid of falling or if they have fallen, because that's where people can get some really great resources and recommendations on what might the best intervention be for them to stay, upright and safe. So that might be for one person physical therapy, which would require a physician's referral. It could be taking a community class like stepping on or ballroom basics for balance or tai chi, but to talk to somebody uh, who might be able to help you become involved in some sort of program that would help you,
Mhm.
or to refer you to a home safety program where you can get a free home safety assessment. But I think there's a general, this is a generalization, but a general fear of admitting that you are afraid of falling or
Yeah.
that you have fallen, and people worry that they'll be taken out of their
Mhm.
home or be put in a nursing facility. And that if people weren't so afraid of talking about it, I think we wouldn't have the high rate of
Yeah.
falls that we have now. So I think just being open about it, talking with your physician, your family, so that you can move forward and find ways to help prevent a fall.
And Dave, same question to you. How would somebody know if they're high risk for a fall? And I do just want to add, Ashley, I love the fact that people are scared, so they fall. They don't want to tell anybody. But it could be something like you said. There could be a resource or a senior doctor, but they're just scared because they don't know. Are they really sick? Will they be taken out of the home? And then they just constantly fall, and they keep falling to the point where it might be too difficult to not have them outside the home. So I appreciate you saying that. And so Dave, so how will they know if they're high risk for a
Well,
fall?
that's a great point. So you have this one scenario of a person who has fallen, who's
Mhm.
trying to keep it quiet because they don't want their loved ones to think that they're not safe and they might lose their independence. Well, I would say taking these programs increases your chances of being independent. So
Mhm.
it's actually the opposite. There's also a group of people out there who, I'm starting to fall into that category of, oh, I'm not that old yet, right? That I don't have to worry about this yet. And I would say pay attention to your near falls, right? So
Yep.
every near fall is a fall barely avoided. And sometimes very dangerous places. Or did you go down on one knee? Did you have to grab the couch? So
Mhm.
you've got the people who are falling and who are afraid. You have the other folks like me who are refusing to believe that this could be a problem for them yet,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
And there's stigma. So I'm in my 50s. I'm going to take a stepping on class right now. I'm going
Mhm.
to do that course and I'm going to learn these pieces so I can have that laid out because, like I tell you, I've been clumsy my whole life. And even if you haven't been, there's a solid chance that those near falls could lead to something greater very soon.
Mhm. And I did before COVID, I actually went to a stepping on class to shadow it just to see what it was about. And I can't remember what session it was, but they were talking about like supplements. And then we went outside and they showed us how to properly get in and outside of the car. And all I kept thinking about, I'm like, I don't care what age you are, this is for everybody. And it's like you have to be proactive, not reactive. So, as Dave said,
Mhm.
start looking at the resources now. You really can fall at any age. And I know this is geared more towards 65 and older, but that stepping on class was amazing. And one of my friends, she does not have a steady gait. She does fall a lot, but she wears wedge shoes, which is not smart. And I told her about it. I was like, you need to look at the stepping on class. Um, So Dave, what kinds of things can a person do to reduce their fall risk?
Well, the first one is to change their mindset.
Yeah.
Right. So the first one is to change your mindset of falls happen and there's nothing I can do about it. Right. So once you
Mhm.
change that, and what I've been saying is we've learned a lot over COVID recently. I
Mhm.
hate to say there are any COVID silver linings, but we did
Right.
learn something. And that is by our behavior, we can reduce the chances of us getting sick. Right. I can wear a mask, I can social distance, and I can, for goodness sake, go get the vaccine. Right.
Mhm.
I can do those pieces. And what does that say? That says that our health is not just in the hands of our doctors. Our health is in our hands. There's things that we can do each day. So, what you can do first, I would say, is go talk to your healthcare provider and ask for a falls risk, right? Get that risk done. Find that assessment, see where you are in the screening process. And then I would enroll in the programs that are out there. And you can contact, well, Ashley's organization is a great place to contact in Dade County, but across the state, the Aging Development Resource Centers that are out there. And they have a range of programs. And some of them are simple, learning to dance and learn the balance that's through that. Some of them are balance and strength. And pardon me, I broke my headset right before we got on, so you might notice it slipping a little bit here, and I'll have to hold it up. But then you also have stepping on, which is really, in my opinion, the grandmother of the programs, because it is taking a multifactorial approach, a 7-week, 2-hour-a-week class that she'll come out of really understanding your needs. And so contacting Safer Communities, Dane County, contacting your Aging Development Resource Centers, or you'll see, I know you're posting our webpage,
Mhm.
WisconsinHealthyAging.org. You can find a workshop there. So there's a ton of little things you could do, but not knowing your particular risks, not knowing, I can't look into your household right now and say, get rid of those rugs, look out for that puppy, get your eyes checked, check your medications. All those things are great. It's hard to do just and figure it out your own. So get that screening done and then get referred to the program that sounds best to you.
Absolutely.
I'll look
And
over to Ashley oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry. I jumped into your job,
that's
Amber.
okay. That's all right. Every once in a while, you can. Oh, I'm always looking for a co-host. Kind of like those TV shows. So, Ashley, same question to you. So, what kind of things can a person do to reduce their falls risk?
Well, I think Dave covered that very well. But a word that you have used a couple of times, Amber, is mindful, just being mindful and mindfulness. And over the course of the Stepping On workshop, but also in just all falls prevention or balance enhancing programming that I'm involved with, that's something we talk about. Pay attention. You don't have to rush to go answer the phone. If you're, um, running to get laundry out of the basement, don't run down the stairs. Just take a moment. And we use the term stop and smell the flowers, and it's kind of funny when we say that, but seriously, stop and smell the flowers, because when you don't, when your mind is in, multiple areas doing multiple things, then that's when you're not paying as good of attention and you could fall. And when you're not looking at all of the things that Dave was talking about, figuring out what is your risk of falling and what are those contributing factors, then you might fall. So I think just mindfulness in addition to all of the great things that Dave just mentioned.
And I do have to mention my grandmother. She's passed within the last year, but she lived independently until she was like 92. And she lives in a county close to me. But thank goodness she had Meals on Wheels, because she fell and she could not get up. And she was down for about 2 days. She couldn't reach for a phone. She had, I don't even think she was screaming. And I just, it's what you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know there's resources out there, that's why shows like this, maybe you don't need it, but maybe your loved one needs it, or maybe it's just information you have in your back pocket to ensure that your loved one doesn't have a fall that maybe they can't get help for. And to me, that's like the scariest part. So I was very thankful that the Meals on Wheels person contacted the fire department, and they had to like bust down the door because she just like couldn't get up. And I bless her heart for living independently, but it's those times where you need to reach out for resources. So I appreciate all you guys do. Dave, I'm going to start with you for the next question. So how is the state and local communities responding to the problem of falls?
Well, so you have programs like Stepping On, or was it ballroom dancing that Ashley mentioned? Other programs that are strength and balancing. These can be run either by your Aging Development Resource Center. These can be run by other kinds of local organizations. You can find things in your YMCA. You can find those that are out there. I would say pay attention to see if it's evidence-based. Has it gone through the research that's out there? So that's one piece that's out there. I want to point out, though, that Wisconsin is number one in the entire country for deaths from elderly falls. So we are number one. And you might say, oh, that's because it's cold out. Well, it's cold in other states. Go up to Minnesota. And most falls happen in the home. So, we could have substance use issues here, even if it's not abuse, just, you have a drink at night that may make it hard to stumble on your way, easier to stumble on your way to the bathroom. If you're like me, that's 4 or 5 trips a night. And so maybe that's TMI, but it's an important part of this discussion right here, right? And so if you're doing that and you've had something to drink, it can be rough. So I would say we have a major problem in the state. Moreover, we know that over the last year and a half with COVID, we have had people not getting the care that they need. We also know that our emergency systems anecdotally are telling us that as many as 40% of the calls that they do out to households are for falls related. Some of those are for major injuries, but a lot of them are called tip-ups, where you go in, you tip the person up, you leave, maybe you come back next week. We need a different system for that. So Ashley and I are both involved in a statewide falls prevention coalition. Ashley's involved in, I'm a member of the local one in Dane County. We have those coalitions across the state, and we're trying to figure out what we can do beyond these programs. So the first thing I would say is get yourself in a program. The second thing I would say to the state and to our communities is we have to do a lot more. We have to make sure that our EMS systems out there connect people to local programs. And not that our EMS workers aren't doing heroic work. They are heroes out there, but it's an overwhelming issue for us to deal with. We need much greater public investment in this. And I'm going to point out that Senator Tammy Baldwin has included in the appropriations work coming forward a Wisconsin Center for Falls Prevention that would be created that would try to look at best practices. We have some best practices up in Brown County happening around referrals. We have great programs happening across the state. Let's invest in those. Let's make sure that we have the public infrastructure out there to support what our nonprofits and our public county organizations are trying to do around falls. So thanks to Tammy, thanks to the governor, thanks to everybody else who have put investment in this program. Let's be number one in football and basketball, but let's let somebody else have that.
Yeah, we don't want to be known for that. I agree.
No.
Ashley, did you have anything else to add to that question?
So I think, Dave, that was perfect. You're so great with the vision, the big picture. So I work, local level, and from my vantage point, collaboration. We often work in silos. Our own organization. And so really reaching out and trying to intentionally collaborate with other organizations who have the same goal as we do. It just makes sense. And I think the local coalitions across the state have done a great job with that. And there's always more work to do and to reach, underserved populations. And so having those sometimes difficult conversations about how can we do things differently so that we reach everybody, communities of color, underserved communities, rural communities, like what are we doing as a collaborative, and are we doing it well? And if not, we have to be okay with admitting that and then figuring out what can we do better. So I think just collaboration, intentional collaboration, and being open to maybe doing things differently so that we can do it better and reach more people.
And I have said this on the show before, it takes a village to raise a village. So it takes all of us to come together and be mindful of our neighbors and our community and our block, and what can we do to make sure that everybody's safe. And I have one final question, Ashley, I'm going to give it to you. So where can our viewers go to find additional information about falls prevention and also your organizations? I know our viewers come from all around the state of Wisconsin, so they might be thinking, how can I get on more information on stepping on or falls prevention or get involved with local coalitions?
So, well, our organization, Safe Communities, we try to have all of the available offerings for Dane County. So we're in Dane
Okay.
County
Mhm.
for balance enhancing classes, for falls prevention classes. So we try to house all of that. And my contact information is on that website. Please contact me directly. And if I don't know the answer, I will I would do everything I can to find the answer. Also, Dave's organization, the Wisconsin Institute for Healthy Aging, they have, a broader view, statewide view of what's available, and just some really great resources on falls prevention in general. And we get a lot of our information from the Centers for Disease Control. So again, that's a great resource as well.
Great. Dave and Ashley, I know we're to our closing time, but I want to thank you both so much. And Dave, even though your headset broke, you were a champ during this whole thing. You kept it on with one hand, but I want to thank you
I
guys
told you I'm
both.
a clumsy champ.
Yeah, that's okay. We all are secretly, but I want to thank you both so much. And even though Falls Prevention Week, we highlight 1 week out of the year, it should be something that we highlight every day of the year. So definitely make sure, if you're viewing this right now, to check out both of the websites as a starting point. And feel free also to pass this video along on your Facebook page or your YouTube link to friends and family. The more information we can get out to people, the better. So thank you so much, Ashley and Dave, for being here. We appreciate you.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having us.
Amber. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you so much. So thank you again for joining us. For upcoming events, if you're interested, we will be pulling that up. So tonight, there's virtual trivia, if you're interested in that. Also tomorrow, Explore Tech, so mindfulness and meditation. That's always something I think we can all use. Tuesday, September 21st, a beginner's guide to claiming Social Security. I will be facilitating that, and it's a perfect workshop if you're newer to Social Security, if you have questions about Social Security, and there is time to still register for that, so please do so at the website below. Also keep in mind that October Small Dollar Big Impact Grant application is due October 20th. We talk about this during every show. If you know of an organization that would like to apply for up to $1,000 grant for innovative, thinking outside the box, impactful ways that you could support your community, you can find that information at aarp.org/WISDBI. And also, today's show was so great about Falls Prevention Week. So if you come back to AARP's Facebook page or YouTube page on Monday, we will be having a kickoff for Falls Prevention Week. And we're going to have the folks from the Milwaukee County Falls Prevention Coalition. So if you come back here Monday at 11 a.m., we're going to have a quick panel discussion, but you're going to hear from some really cool and interesting people, and we're going to be highlighting some things that are going around Milwaukee County for Falls Prevention Week. So for next week's show, we'd love for you to come back here next Thursday at noon. We're going to be talking to 3 of the 2021 Wisconsin awardees for the AARP Community Challenge Grant. We're going to talk to the folks from Ashland, Chilton, and Madison. You're going to hear about their cool, innovative ideas that they were awarded. So they'll be here next Thursday, the 23rd at noon. So once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Remember, Falls Prevention Week then starts Monday. Information will also make sure that we put some additional resources in the notes of this. But I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, be safe.